of my name. Sometimes there's an underscore, sometimes there's not. But where does Coffee Man, that part, come from? So I will gladly explain this. So, Christmas of 2016. See, my graduated 2018, so that was 2017, 2018. Junior year was 2016, 2017. Sophomore year was 2015, 2016. So Christmas 2015, even longer than that, like a whole year before Christmas 2016. I, if you don't know, if you couldn't tell, this is after the fact. It's also just because I'm trying to hold a phone and all that nonsense. Excuse, excuse, excuse. But um, I was like I did band. Played saxophone since sixth grade, so I'd have been like 11, 12, I think, probably 11. I'm not sure. How old are you in sixth grade? You're like 5 in kindergarten, 5 to 6, 6 to 7 in first, 7 to 8, second, 9, third, 10, fourth, 11, fifth, 12. Damn. So I played saxophone since I was 12. Um, and my 10th grade year, I got invited to go to a state convention. Like it was like an honor band kind of thing. If you're not in band, what that basically means is you go to this event wherever it is in Mississippi. It's in Natchez, almost every year. It's around Christmas time, because we do it right before Christmas vacation. So I went. I was one of the ones invited. The youngest one invited, uh, out of the high school level. One of my friends had gone his seventh grade or eighth grade year because they always invite at least one from the middle school and then two from each high school. And I went to a county school, so there was more competition going on because there's more middle schoolers and junk. Um, I was invited again. I was recommended again my senior year, but I was not allowed back because of the events of this one. So what happened was I played saxophone, did my audition, all that cool stuff. Met some nice people. Met a very cute girl, as you do. Um, upon meeting her, I decided I'm going to woo her. So, 16-year-old, like 15, 16-year-old coffee man decides this is it. This is my chance. She's got short hair, short black hair. She's in JROTC, which is like junior military program. Like she was training. She was like, she was good looking. Okay, as a young man, that's all I cared about. We all we had in common really was band, and that I thought she was pretty, and I think she thought she was pretty to some extent. Um, so we spent a lot of our free time. We were in the same band. We spent a lot of our free time hanging out with each other because there's 3 tiers of bands, and we were in the same one, which was the last one because I flubbed my audition because it was my first year playing bari sax, which is the big one you see me holding in that video I showed a minute ago, and that was the next year, and I still hadn't gotten any better. That's beside the point. Like I had just started playing bari sax at that point. Regardless, I was about to woo her. So my first step in this immaculate plan was we were going to go out to lunch. Um, the band directors told it, band directors take you out to lunch. My assistant band director, who was also my middle school band director back then, said he made reservations. It's down here. We can walk there. It's all good. So we decided to walk, and I see her. I'm like, this is my chance. So I'm like, so I just do like the most awkward, obvious, like run into her. Like I didn't hit her hard, but I definitely made it obvious that I was just trying to bump her. And so like I just shoulder bump like the side, like the front, like like the front of her chest, like pretty much like her left tit just got like run down real quick. And I just apologized and kept moving. And That was the setup. Now, I don't need to tell you this, but this is not a good setup. I shouldn't have to tell you this. You might need that advice. Um, Anytime you're trying to woo a girl, the number one advice is never tackle her in any fashion. Light or not, don't tackle her. Be a fucking man. Stop playing coy. That's beside the point. So the next, like later that night, we have our night auditions. Basically, what happens then is, so in the morning, around 7 o'clock in the morning, you go to wherever your area is, and you go down there and you practice. Um, and when you go to practice, you just sit there till whenever it's time to let out for lunch or whatever else. You should have already had breakfast around 6 or so, because it's hell. Band sucks. If you're debating on doing band or debating on quitting band, I'm in college now, and I did band for a semester. I hated it. Wasn't worth the scholarship money. Um, I enjoy playing an instrument, but I just don't enjoy hanging out with band kids. I'm not sure how to explain that any other way. Um, but regardless, so the next that night, so we had to come back at like 3. So we go from like 7 to like 11, kind of short, and we had to come back at 3, and we stay from 3 to 10. Um, so around then, I get there a little early, like 2:30, because I had done like wrapped up, got my berry sacks, went down there, was gonna just kind of warm up and just chill out, and she walks in, and she's like by herself, none of her friends are around, so I'm like, this is my chance. So I'm like, I go over there to double down on my apology, quote unquote. So I go and apologize, and I say, hey, look, I'm sorry I bumped into you. I totally didn't mean it. But I don't remember how that next part went. I think I said I apologize. And then I think plan like mission success. She was like, no, it's all good. Hey, I think I was wearing a tie, and she's like, hey, I like your bow tie, because I was that guy. I like your bow tie. Do you want my phone number? And I said, yeah, sure, whatever. Definitely wasn't squealing on the inside. Like I couldn't tap in that memory. Remember how like I was about it. I was just so excited. That was probably the most gruesome noise ever in existence. But I was excited. So, um, the Ole Miss, the Ole Miss band, like their symphony band, comes down. They come to Natchez and they come to play. We have like an orchestra going on because there's always events every night. That's part of the charm of why you would want to go. So you go, you kill yourself every day playing your instrument for like 10 hours a day, and then you get to see something cool, something like the Ole Miss Orchestra playing. So we go see the Ole Miss Orchestra, and each like we all have our seats, and we can kind of just sit just about wherever we want because it's all just us, just the people at Natchez for that event, and like Ole Miss people's families and stuff. Such Ole Miss people's families got like I said, a coliseum, so it's like their families are kind of seated in like I guess the mosh pit as much as they can fit in there because there's like tons of percussion doing tons of things even at the front. Like there's like xylophones and mellophones and all that nonsense. If you don't know what that is, that's easy Google. I think it's not mellophones. What's marimbas? These things had like marimbas. They'll just bust out like they'll bust out like this guy right here. See this or this girl right here? My bad. Like with like 3 or 4 on each hand, and they just go da 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 da, like just bang on it and go crazy. Um, and so later that night, like she's sitting like 2 rows in front of me, so I woo my way down there and just like, hey, what's up? Um, Nice to meet you. Again, fancy seeing you here, all that good stuff. Um, so we chat for a while, and then on the way back, I got separated from my my home school, um, or the school I came with. Not my home school, but like the school I came with on this trip. I got separated from them, So I decide, oh, well, it'll be fun. And then she goes, hey, I know you're not supposed to come in the girls' rooms. I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm not thinking the right way anymore. And she goes, but my one roommate was in the Ole Miss band, and they're all leaving tonight. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, and I need help figuring out how to get this coffee machine to work. Do you see where this is going? So I decide, all right, I'll help you. Now, the number one rule in any band sense is that you're not supposed to go into the opposite gender's rooms. I broke that rule on like the third night there out of the 5 nights we were supposed to be there. And by the way, when you break such a rule, you usually get banned and usually get your school wrote up. I will explain why what happened and how it happened in just a second. But I'm going to explain to you the gravity of the situation I'm about to enter into. Usually your school gets written up, which basically means you can't go to any like state level competitions. There's no for like the next year. Like no state dance competitions, no state band competitions, no state football competitions, which we didn't have a chance in, no state basketball, no state baseball for the next year. So next year's football team would not have a chance. They wouldn't even play any like state level, like any like the games for qualifications or anything like for that season. Which is a whole ordeal I don't completely understand, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. So that is one thing. I was going to screw out my entire school for this. Another thing, I could be banned from coming to that event ever again, which did happen. And because I was older, it seemed like I was being a bit of a manipulator in all of this. So I was not supposed to come back in the city of Natchez until I was 18. Um, which is a null and void document because there was no lawyers or anything like that. But they told me that they could have that done. And I believed them because I don't know why, but I definitely believe them on that because I don't think they would just lie about something that redundant. Like I want to go to Natchez and sit on the Natchez Trace for another 3 hours again. Um, so I help her figure out the coffee machine, which is not hard. Like if anybody was playing on anybody, it was her playing on me because she knew she was moving to fucking Oregon or something, somewhere in the Midwest. She was moving in like a year, but I was getting played, if anything. Um, we had a nice hug. She smelled nice, and room check comes in. Um, I decide, hey, I'll just leave while they're checking the room next door because because there's 3 floors to where we're staying. It's like a hotel. The bottom floor, there's 4 floors. There's the lobby floor, and then the second floor is the girls. The third floor is mixed, and the fourth floor is where I'm staying. And so if I walk out without the room check lady noticing me, it'll be all fine. So I start to walk out. I get shoved into the bathroom by this girl. She's not in there with me. She's just trying to get this lady to go away. So I'm looking for a hiding spot because I'm not going to be able to get out of here and get away with this at this point unless I find somewhere to hide while she goes looks in the bathroom because she's about to barge in there. She slams open the door, which was the worst thing about this because I decided I'll hide behind the door, not in the tub, not in the closet, nothing. Um, and by the way, the worst part about it, even worse than having the door slammed open on me, she did it multiple times, and there was a cheetah print bra sitting in the floor in front of my feet, which was all fine and good for me. And she threatened to sue my school, And all that nonsense for my behavior. I bolted. I get to my room on the next floor, freaking out. I'm banging on the door. You want to know why I was banging on the door? I left my room key and my name tag in that girl's room. So one of my roommates opened the door for me. How kind of a soul. Room check comes in for me. And they tell me they're looking for me. They have my name tag. And then I go, aw fuck. My roommate the roommate that opened the door for me, he went to my school, but he moved schools. And he was like 2 years older than I was. And he goes, what did you do? And I said, don't worry about it. I'm fucked anyways. I left and went down there. And by the way, the guy I had to talk to runs all the events in Mississippi for band, all the state level events. He's the one that runs all of them. I'm not going to say his name, but I had to talk to him and explain the situation. They had already looked at the tapes, and all they seen was a harmless hug, and that was all good. And they said, do you understand that we can have your school in trouble for this? By the way, the girl, I'm sitting at the counter, like they have like a bar in the hotel, but it's not open since all of it's the hotel sold out to a bunch of teenage kids in high school. And I'm sitting there talking to this man, and the girl is sitting on one of the chairs behind us. And I don't know what it was, but I decided this is my chance to get out of this. And I cry. I cry, and I cry. And I apologize profusely, and I am so upset and mad at myself. And I'm just bawling. Right in front of this girl I've been hung up on for like the past few days. Like, my plan has failed, abort mission, my... And I'll never forget, the assistant band director, the one I had since middle school, who had been so kind to me, looked me in the eyes and said, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. And our school didn't get in trouble, but I was never allowed in Natchez ever again for that thing. I came back to school. In my English class, one of my best friends since kindergarten asked me how it went. He's the one that had gone in 7th or 8th grade. And I told him that entire story. And we were just laughing and laughing. And one of the rednecks in the classroom, he said, you know what? I don't know your name, but to me now, you're Mr. Coffee. And that is how I got the name.